Hey guys, Horror Man back for another review. So today we're going to take a look at the New York Comic Con 2019 exclusive Dark Horse Batman vs. Alien set. Now this is made by NECA Toys and it's part of their very limited ongoing line of Dark Horse sets. Now there was also another set available at the booth if you attended, and these were also offered online for a pre-sale where you'd get two sets. So the other set was actually Green Lantern versus Predator, which is pretty cool. So just taking a look at the set box here, really isn't a lot going on, and we've kind of seen this with DC exclusives in the past for actually a pretty long time. They just go with this black glossy box, and you got your basic logos for Batman and Aliens, and then you have your DC and your Fox logo, as well as warning, and it says ages 17 and up. Alright, and the front flap of the box is just held in by a Velcro closure, and then when you open the box you can just see both the figures clearly displayed on the inside. There really isn't any extra graphics or backdrop, so it's pretty basic. And the only other writing on the box is just going to be at the bottom. You just get more logos, the UPC code, and that's pretty much it. Alright, so this is a pretty long overdue box set, and I know NECA's put a lot of work into trying to get these released, so let's see if this was all worth it and get these two out of the box. So let's go ahead and take a look at Batman first, and we'll go ahead and start by looking at that head sculpt. Alright, so just taking a close look at the head sculpt for Batman here. Some reason it's showing up a little bit colder on my camera, so sorry about that. But just taking a look at the head sculpt here, I definitely think NECA's done a really good job of capturing the comic book look, especially from that like 80s, 90s era of comic books. Kind of exaggerated looking, so you get these long, very tall ears, which look pretty good. And they don't seem like they're like warped or anything like that, so I'm happy with how they came back like out of the packaging. The actual like cowl, you could see some like lines going through it, just kind of like he's making an expression a little bit, and the cowl is like tight, I guess, to the face, so you can kind of see the eyebrow or like the brow expression. So I'm happy with that. And I do like the overall look of the mouth and just the expression on his face. Just got that classic Batman scowl to him. And just looking at the profile Batman here, again, just really nice sculpting all around on the cowl. Just really happy with how that came out. So just really nice. And again, you can see how tall or long the ears are. And over to the back of the cowl, again, really nice work on that. And I really don't see any warping on those ears. So again, I can't say how happy I am about that. And you can see some muscle kind of in the neck underneath the cowl there. There is a little bit of like paint, like it's really shiny in that one spot. So that's the only like flub that I see in the cowl itself. So overall, I'm really happy with how it came out. And just taking a look at the torso for Batman here, you do get that classic black and yellow bat symbol, which looks really good for the most part. Don't really see anything wrong with that, so I'm pretty happy there. You get that nice muscle tone like you've seen with the other Batman and the Superman. I think it's just a reuse of that same sculpt for the most part, but I do like the way it shows up. You have the utility belt, which looks pretty much like the really old school Batman utility belt, so I'm pretty happy with that. And it looks good for the most part. It's got a little bit of flubs and issues with it, but very minor. It's not perfect, but I do think it looks pretty good. And the gauntlets look pretty good. You do get the two fisted hands out of the box, but I do like the detail in these gauntlets, so yeah, that looks pretty good. And looking at the back of Batman, you still get that really good sculpting work, especially in the muscle tone area, so I'm really happy with that. Didn't leave anything out. You get some nice wash going through here to kind of accent the muscle area. You could really see it on the shoulders and just the lines within the muscles. And then of course you get the utility belt, and again, it has its issues, just a couple little paint chips and scratches. Not horrible, but it does have a little bit. And of course you get the classic bat shorts. Looking at the lower half of Batman, again you get that great sculpting work on the muscles. You got the bat shorts, and the boots look pretty good, no real issues there. I like how they kind of go up toward the knee, so it's like that classic Batman boot. So yeah, overall really nice details in the front and back of the lower part of Batman, and you can kind of see some of those joints in the back. But overall, really nice sculpting. Now for me, the most important accessory for Batman is the cape, and I think NECA's done a pretty good job with the cape, and they've done pretty good with the other capes as well, with their like movie Batmans. So you can kind of drape it fairly well over the shoulders if you want to go for that look, and I think he closes up pretty well. You can't get it to go completely straight down, at least without some work. And you can also spread the cape out pretty good, so it does get a nice wingspan. And I do like the fabric. It's got that kind of weight to it, so it's going to drape nicely on here. Now it's not wired, unfortunately, but since it is such a nice material, you can kind of manipulate it in many different ways. If you want to do like the over the shoulder type of look, there's many different looks to go for with this cape. But overall, I'm really happy with the quality of it. Alright, so switching gears to the Joker Alien. This is one I've actually been looking forward to, but so far it's fallen a little bit short for me. But overall, I really like the color scheme. So just starting with the head sculpt here, he does have an articulated jaw, which closes pretty much all the way. And you do have some red here, so it kind of looks a little like the lipstick that Joker wears, but it's more of like blood. And you do get that green dome. Part of me wishes it was more translucent, but it does look pretty good. The only real issue I have with this dome is there's a terrible paint issue right there. It's like the shininess of the paint has kind of come off, so it's very dull. So I'm really not happy with that paint smudge. It is like a huge eyesore. So it could have just been wet when it went in the box, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's not perfect. But besides that, man, the head sculpt is so freaking good on this. I just really like the way it looks. The white really helps like bring out the sculpt, in my opinion. But you still have that like black wash to kind of, you know, show all the bones and details within that sculpt. So overall, I do really like the look of this alien. It's actually one of my favorite aliens that they've done in terms of look, but it does have its share of issues. Now, just like with all the NECA aliens, for the most part, this one does have that little inner jaw that pops out, which is pretty cool, and that is part of the articulation as well, but it's always been one of those really cool little features for NECA. So if you want that to go back, you just have to push it back in, and then you can just close the jaw. Now that was a little tough to get out. I had to actually use some needle nose pliers to pull that out. But once you get it out of there, it seems to work just fine. And just looking at the torso for the alien here, it looks so good, man. I can't express how good this looks. But I really like, just like the head sculpt, how you can see all the bones kind of showing here, and just like that classic like H.R. Giger look. You know, it just really comes through with this white paint scheme. So I'm really happy with how that looks. And of course you got these like tube things on his back. Got that crazy spiked spine going on. Just really nice. Another thing I really like about this is they did paint the nails, which is always a pet peeve of mine with these monster characters. I always feel like if you paint the nails, it just makes them look a little bit more menacing. But I love the fingers on here. Just really, just creepy looking overall. Alright, and then just looking at the lower half of this alien here. I think this is where it got a little away from NECA. The legs I'm having issues with. I just can't get the legs to function right. I was thinking maybe I got two right bottom legs or two left bottom legs or something, but I think it's just the construction of the figure. just something seems off to where it just can't stand normally. Thankfully, it has that tail to help it stand. But just looking at the legs, again, you got that really nice detail, just like you see over the whole body. And again, just like the fingernails, the toenails are painted green, which I think really gives something to the figure. Just really nice. And then the tail is spiked all the way through, which is awesome. The spikes on the bottom here are kind of like softer material. And then he's got blood all over the end of the tail. And then the tail itself is bendable, and it really helps stand the figure up. Alright, so getting back to Batman here, we're just going to go ahead and take a look at the articulation. So the head itself can pivot really nicely, like insanely good. So I'm really happy with that. You can look up pretty far, you can look down really far, and of course you can turn the head as far as you would possibly need to. So overall, really good movement in that head sculpt. The arms can go out nicely. They can go down pretty far, and they can go up as well. And then of course you do have some articulation to kind of move all around here to give Batman some nice range, including that bicep swivel, which is always nice. You do have the double hinged elbows, which is great for those classic Batman poses. He doesn't have any articulation at the gauntlet here, but his wrist can turn and it can move up and down, swivel all around. So pretty good there. You do have that ab articulation, so you could look down pretty good. And it's a little tight, so you might be able to get a little bit of back movement, but I can't get much right now. He can turn at the waist if you need to. Can't really go left to right, just can turn. And then the legs go really far out, or a nice kick. So that's pretty good for Batman. It can go out about that far, back about that far. You do have the double jointed knees, so that's pretty cool. You can rotate the boot at the top of this boot right here, and then you can move the feet up and down, and there's even a toe point of articulation on here, which is a little tight, but the toe can move. And you got really good pivot. So overall, I think the articulation, especially for a NECA figure, is really good. Alright, and looking at the articulation for the alien, we've already taken a look at that inner mouth, so I'm not going to go over that again. But you could turn the head pretty good, left and right, no real issues there. He can't really look down real far, but he can move the head up a decent amount. The arms can go out pretty far. They can go down pretty much all the way. They can go up, you just have to rotate the arm, but they can go up if you need to. You do have a double hinged joint at the elbow for additional range there. He could rotate at the top of the torso here. You can move it up and down a little bit, but not a lot of range there. You can't really move the legs out like a split because of the bones that are here, so that's a bit of an issue, but not really like a normal movement for an alien. He does have the double hinged knee joint here, so you can move the knees pretty good. He can move the leg out really far, almost like all the way up to his elbow. And then he can go back pretty far. And you also have an additional joint here in this portion of the leg, so that can go up, they can move back and forth pretty good. And then the foot doesn't really move too much. You have a little bit of movement, just not much at all, no ankle pivot from what I could tell. And we already kind of looked at the tail. It does have that bendy wire And one other nice piece of articulation for the alien here is you actually do get some finger articulation, which is always a good thing for a monster creature. So you can go out all the way and you can kind of almost close his hand a little bit. And then you can move it a little bit up. It's got a little bit of a hinge here. So pretty cool hand articulation. Alright, so in terms of accessories for this set, they are very limited. You actually really only get one accessory, which is the Batarang. And it is done pretty well. It's just got that kind of brushed silver tone to it. And it is a classic looking Batarang. So I do like the look of it. And then you also get a gripping hand for the Batarang. And that's done pretty good. You know, you can kind of see some details in here. But yeah, very lame with the accessories, so I'm definitely a little disappointed there. Alright, so to get Batman to actually hold the accessory, what you're going to do is go ahead and take off the hand that comes in the package. And it is really tight on there, but you can get it off and you can kind of see the peg is pretty thick, so I am happy with the quality of that. Then you're just going to put this gripping hand on here. And I will try to do it on camera. It's always so tough. Yeah, I can almost get it in all the way on camera. But there is your gripping hand. And once you have the gripping hand on, you can put the Batarang easily into that hand. And I'm sure you can get a variety of poses with it. But he does seem to grip the Batarang very well. So for the first comparison, here is the Batman next to the Joker alien. And you could definitely see that the Joker alien towers over Batman. For your first Batman comparison, here he is next to the 1989 Batman and the Batman Begins Batman. And these are both made by NECA Toys. And I do like the comparison here. The Keaton's the shortest, Begins is the middle, and then the comic is a little bit taller. And I think that's about accurate. But I tell you, these three might be the best Batman figures pretty much ever made, in my opinion. Just really crucial versions of Batman to have figures of. Here he is next to the San Diego Comic-Con 2019 exclusive Dark Horse Armored Batman, and this is from the Batman vs. Predator line, and also made by NECA, of course. And you can see these scale perfect together. He is a little bit taller than the standard version, only because he has that thick armor on, so it makes pretty good sense. And then if you remove this little armor helmet piece, you can see the faces are very similar, but you do get the teeth showing on this other sculpt. But again, there is some borrowed sculpting. It's pretty much the same figure underneath that armor. But great looking figures overall for NECA. And here he is next to a couple animated Batman figures. You have the original Batman the Animated Series figure, and then you also have the Batman vs. TMNT movie figure, and these are both made by DC Collectibles. Here he is next to the Harley Quinn from the Arkham City video game, and then you have the Heath Ledger Joker from the Dark Knight movie. And here he is with a couple Mattel figures. You have the Jason Todd Red Hood figure, and then you have the Alfred figure. Here's Batman and the Alien with Freddy and Jason, and you do have the Freddy vs. Jason and the Dream Warriors Freddy. Now this is the biggest Jason, so he's pretty big, but if you want Batman to fight some monsters, these NECA figures all do scale together very well. Here's the Joker alien with a couple from the Alien franchise. You have the David from Prometheus and Ripley from Aliens. Here's the Joker alien with the Sewer alien, which was also an exclusive. Here he is next to some more Prometheus characters. You have the engineer in the chair suit, the regular engineer, and then you have the Neomorph. And for the final comparison, here is the Joker alien with the Jungle Hunter Predator with the battle damage, and the original Big Chap alien. Alright, so that's my review of the Batman vs. Alien Dark Horse NECA Toys figure set. And overall, I'm mostly happy with the set. I definitely could have used a little bit more accessories, especially for Batman. The one Batarang and hand doesn't quite get it. So that's my biggest gripe with the Batman in general. But I do like the articulation. I like the cape a lot. I think the look overall is really cool. I'm happy that the ears came out very nice. There's no warpage or anything in that. And the articulation seems to flow pretty nicely. So I really don't have any real complaints with Batman. My only real complaints about this set all kind of fall within the alien, unfortunately. I do like the overall look of the alien, but this little mouth right here really doesn't function well at all. And I've had alien figures in the past, and all of them have had really no problems getting that inner mouth to work. But with the articulation in general, I have a real big problem with this alien. I mean, with the alien, he just can't stand well. You gotta use the tail like usual, but there's something really amiss with those lower legs with this Joker alien, so that is a little bit irritating. But even with the shortcomings, with the small amount of accessories, and the overall articulation issues with those legs, this is still a really, really good set to get. And I think if you're a comic book fan of Batman or a fan of Alien, this is definitely going to be the set for you. Personally, I don't have a ton of Aliens. I've only got maybe like 3 or 4. This might be my favorite one in my collection, just because the paint is just so good. It really brings out all the sculpting details. I'm just really happy with how it looks. As far as Batman, NECA rarely makes a Batman figure. I mean, to this day, they probably only have about 5 Batmans, so they got 2 of the movie ones, one from the TV show, and then these 2 comic book ones. So if you're looking to add to your collection, if you collect NECA, this is definitely the set you're going to want to get. So thanks for watching my review. Please leave a comment or question if you have one. Please like the video, subscribe, and until next time, guys, see ya.